buddies, I am Rutuj Runwal and I welcome you all to Gyanibud. Today we will learn about a lot of stuff in this video. We will go through threads and how to use them in Linux. We will also look at exec system calls and shared memory concepts that are very important in operating system. Make sure to stick around till the end to learn all these things that we will cover today in a greater detail. The link to all this stuff is provided in the description below. You can access all the codes and explanation from our site there. Also, there are a ton of related assignments on gyanibuddy.com, so do check that out. So let's get started and see the problem statement. We have divided this into two parts so that it could be easier to understand. So we will cover them one by one. So we have the first problem statement that says using process system calls, exec system calls, and shared memory concept, develop a program to perform any CPU bound and IO bound tasks. So what we need to do is we need to use all these things including shared memory, exec system calls, and process system calls, in order to generate a program that does both of these tasks in parallel. Now, what a CPU bound task means is it will be a task that involves the use of CPU. That means it will involve the use of some of the type of computation. All right, and the IO bound task means that it is related to input and output, means either it will wait for the user to enter something from the terminal or print something on the terminal. So that's an input and output kind of operation. So we need to perform both of these tasks in parallel. So let's see the program. So this is the code that will make this happen. Okay, so we will understand this now. First of all, we will include all the libraries that are needed in order to make all these functions work. Next, inside the main function, we have first of all created a key underscore t variable, my key. So what is this? We will learn about it in detail, and we have assigned it to ftalk function. So the value that ftalk function returns will be stored in my key. So what ftalk function does is it converts a path name and a project identifier to a system v IPC key. So what this key is, it is a system v IPC key, and this key is used in order to generate a shared memory segment, or in order to access a shared memory segment. Now ftalk takes two arguments, that is a path name. So this is a path or file name that we have given here, and this file should be existing. So it does in our system, and it is in the same directory. That's why we have given this simple path. And next, we have what we have given here is a random number. It is just a project identifier. It can be anything. Okay, so this is our key. And now in the next line, as you can see, we have declared an integer variable that is a mem id, that is a memory id. So whatever this shm get or shared memory get function will return, it will be stored in this mem id. Now what this shared memory get function does is it takes the key that we generated previously. So this is the system v IPC key that we generated using ftalk. It will take that, and next we will pass in the size, that is 1024 bytes. And third is a parameter, that what do we want to do with that shared memory. Do we want to create a new shared memory segment, or we need to link it to some existing segment, or what? So what we are doing here is IPC underscore cret. So what this does is it creates a new segment with these permissions, that is 666. Okay, so now we get that ID where this shared memory segment is created, and this ID can be used later to access that segment. And next, on the next line, we have a process ID, and we are calling fork and saving that ID in there. Now what fork does is it creates a copy of the parent process. That means this main function or this program is a process, means once it will be executing, it will be a process. And then what this fork will do is it creates a copy of this process, and then it will store the PID in this PID variable. So we will check according to this PID variable. If it is 0, if it is -1, then we will get an error. So if the fork returns -1, it is treated as an error, that something has went wrong there. So we will print that it is an error. Next, if the PID is 0, that means it is a child process. And if the PID is anything else, then it will be a parent process. Always remember that for the child process, the PID will always be 0. So first, let's check the parent process part. In the parent process, what we are doing is we are creating a val variable is of type integer star. Okay, and then we are calling shmat on it. Now what shmat does is, as you can recall, we have created a shared memory segment here, and we have stored the mem id here. Now what this will do is, it will access that shared memory segment using the mem id, that is the id that we created. Okay, and then the second what the second part does is, it is a the second argument is a shared memory address. So the second argument, that is the shared memory address, specifies specific address to use. That means what address we have to use, this will specify. But if you put 0 here, then it will let the operating system automatically choose whatever feels necessary. And this is a recommended action because it can avoid deadlocks if you use another addresses here. And then we can pass extra arguments and flags here, so we will not do it, we will keep it to default, that is 0. Okay, so this variable can now access this shared memory. We have first of all assigned it to 0. Then we are running a for loop till 50, and this variable will be added till the value 0, 0 plus 1, 0 plus 1 plus 2, 0 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3. So all these values will be added in the val, and then the sum value by the parent process will be printed. And then next we will print the parent id, that is get pid, through the get pid function. And then we will be waiting for the for the child process to complete. The parent will be waiting, so we will give here a wait call. Now let's go to the child process. So if the pid is 0, then we will enter the child process, as we have declared the fork here, so it will create two instances of the same program. One is for the child and one is for the parent, and both of these will be running in parallel. So in the child process, what we have done is, we have again declared the variable val, and this time we will be adding here from 51 to 100. So here we have added the first 50 numbers, and from here we will be adding 51 to 100. Next we will print out the child's process id, that is get pid. And to get the parent's id from the child process, we use the get ppid command, that is get parent process id. So this will print the parent process id, and this will be same as the id getting printed here, because that will be the same parent. And then at last we will print the sum total, as both of these are going in parallel. So the sum will be the numbers from 1 to 100, the sum of the numbers from 1 to 100. Half of the task is done here, and half is done in the child process. And after that, in order to create an this was a CPU bound process. Now in order to create an IO bound process, we will be taking help of exec command. Now what the exec command does is, the exec family of functions replaces the current running process with a new process. It can be used to run a C program by using another C program. It comes under the header file, this one, unist.h or whatever it is. Okay, so now exec lp, the first argument here is the file path that we need to run. The second is the argument, and third is null, that is no extra parameters have been passed. So what this is, if in Linux, if you go to the bin folder, then inside that there is a ls program, that is the same ls that we use in the terminal to print out whatever is present in there. So that's the same ls command. So this exec lp will basically be running an ls command onto the screen. So this is an IO bound process, and whatever this is doing, that is an CPU bound process. Now all of this will run in parallel. Okay, so let's try to run this program and check if it works. First of all, let me show you that bin area. So we are in the slash directly. Now we can go to bin. Now let's see whatever is in bin. So here you can see there's a lot of stuff in the bin folder, but as you can see there is an ls there. So that's the ls that we will be accessing through the exec lbc command. So let's open up the terminal and now run our program. Our program is prac.c, so we will do gcc prac.c, and it is compiled. Now to run it, We will use dot slash a dot out, and as you can see, this is the sum printed by parent. This is the parent's ID 2337, and the parent of the child process ID is also same that we had got through here, right here, get ppid, and this was the get pid. So it should actually be the same because it's the same parent process. And at last we have get 5050 5050, that is the total sum of whatever has been calculated, that is from 1 to 100. And at last you can see all this stuff. So this is the just the ls on this particular directory. Let's do ls here. As you can see, you get the same output as this. So in this way, we have done a CPU bound process and an IO bound process in parallel. So this was the very first problem statement. Now let's see the problem statement 2. The problem statement 2 says that we have to use pthread library in C and develop a program such that the main data is available to all the threads through a globally accessible structure, and each thread works on different part of that data, and the main thread will wait for all other threads to complete their computation, and then it will print the resulting sum on the screen. Okay, so this is the code for it. Now the pthread.h library in C language is used to generate and create and modify and use all the threads that are possible to do all the stuff with threads. Okay, so here these are the structures that we will be using as it was already given in the problem statement, that we have to use a globally accessible structure. So this is the structure right here. This thread data, it contains two variables, that is int thread num and another array arr. It's a pointer to the integer. Okay, and then we have here another arguments that we will be using in the pthread underscore create command. And next we have declared a constant size of 10, so this will be the array size as we will be needing array to generate the sum and store it. So first of all, let's go to the main function. So this is our array, so we will be working on this array. It has numbers 1 to 10, and then here we have created a pointer to that same array. And then what we have done here is we have created thread data, uh, two two variables of the thread data type. The thread data type here is a structure. Okay, so we are assigning the various values to this thread data. So the array, we will be passing this array here. Let me show you here. This int star array will be passed with this parameter here. So both the threads will get access to this same array. All right, and then the thread number, we have assigned 0 to the first thread and 1 to the second thread, so that we can easily identify which thread is it. And now to generate a thread, we need to first create three thread IDs. So TID is of type pthread underscore t. So these are thread IDs. So we have created three IDs. Next, we will use pthread underscore create to create two threads. Okay, so what pthread underscore create function does is it is used to create new threads. So first of all, we will pass the ID of the respective thread. So TID 0 and TID 1, we will pass the reference. Next, we will pass null, so no extra parameters. Next, we will pass a function that is the runnable function that we want to run upon. So here the function is defined. We will get into it later. And next, we will pass on the data that is related to that. So here, as you can see, we have created the threaded data variable, and we will pass this 1 to the first to the second thread and 0 to the first thread. Okay, so what these two threads will do is they will compute the sum of this array. The first thread will work on this portion 1 to 5, and the next will work on 6 to 10. And then what the main function will do is it will combine this and display it on the screen. So here we have declared some variables, uh, and then we will use pthread join and wait for the thread's termination, and they will run this function, and then when they will terminate, they will come back here. And after that we are just essentially adding all of that stuff, and then finally we are calling the final thread with the tote method. The tote method is given here. What is does it will add up all the values that has been computed by the thread A and the thread B respectively. So let's first check out this sum method that the first and second thread will be running. So here the sum method takes a variable white star p. Okay, so now here we have declared a pointer of the type thread data, that was our structure, and then we have declared an integer that we will assign the thread number to it. And if the thread number is 0, remember here we have declared the thread number 0 and 1. So if the thread number is 0, we will work on first half of the array, and if the thread number is 1, that is else, we will work on the second half of the array, and we will actually sum all of that values. So what the first thread will do is it will sum from 1 to 5, this much area, and the second thread will do this much. Okay, and then we will exit both the threads with this variable so that no data leaks and other stuff occurs. And now once they will be terminated, the control will return here. Then we have declared here a final argument. That's actually also a structure. It has two variables, int a and b. So we will be assigning the sum that we get from there into this variable, the sum 0 that we have obtained when the thread first exited, and the sum 1 that we have obtained when the second thread exited. And then we will call the third thread using the third TID, that is the TID2. Remember the indexing starts from 0, so this was the 0th, this was the first, and this was the last TID. Alright, so we have called here with the run function as toot. So what this toot function will do is it will create a pointer to the final argument structure that was defined here, and then it will compute essentially the sum of both the values that was written from the first part and the second part, and it will print the total sum. And once this the join thread has returned, we do not need to store it anywhere, so we'll put it null. Here we have stored the values in the sum1 and the sum0 variables. Okay, so that was it from my side, and thank you guys for watching.